So here's another VOD review for Lick. He's playing Sigma and Zarya here, I think. Okay, yeah, he's back on the Sigma, but you came here late. So you should never let your shield get that low off of just that one engage. You wasted way too much of it, and as soon as your Rhine shield goes down to Fire Strike now, you won't have a shield, because you only have 63. It'll break with one Ana shot, a Sigma Orb, 3 Genji Shurikens, like 2 or 3 of the Lucio balls, and Moira can just suck it. So, basically, by doing that, you have just used up a cooldown for poke damage, which you shouldn't be using. You should let your team take a little bit of poke damage so that your supports can build their ults, so that your Moira and your Mercy can build their ults. This is okay. Again, that's okay, but you should be dropping your shield then. Something you can do. What I like to do is I typically like to flash my shield so that I'm taking in the necessary damage that needs to be blocked, but I'm letting more poke damage go through. You should also be looking to shield off their Ashe or their Widow as much as possible so that your Widow has a much easier time dueling them. Another thing that you probably could have done here is, this is a good position to take on Sigma, but I'm just gonna go back a bit. Okay, so you put your shield up here, take the rock. Really, all you needed to do there was drop your shield as soon as the rock is over. You can drop your shield while you're in suck, while you're in Sigma's left shift. So if you do that at the same time, if they were looking at shooting your shield, they're gonna instead shoot the suck. You'll get more shields out of it, and your barrier also won't be under half the entire game. So you should have dropped it as soon as you started flexing, or grasping. Your shield should have been going up to the hog there, because there was... He like kind of telegraphed that he was going to go for a hook because your Rhine was over here-ish, and his shield was down. Your primary usage of your shield is to negate cooldowns and absolute necessary poke damage that will cause issues in the long run. Your Reinhardt has killed their Ana, which means it's okay for you to drop your shield and push it back up here to try to cut off the healing onto the Roadhog. And it'll also cut off the sightlines of the Widow, so your Rhine can start moving in, and whoever else is behind you can start moving in. Like, your Junk can move into a better position. He can move up here and not worried about getting clicked by the Widow over there, or bonked by the Sig down there, or hooked by the Hog. Basically, you want to use your shield to force them to back up or reposition, so that you yourself can get a more advantageous position. Your shield needs to go down when the Reinhardt's shield is up. Yeah, you're leaving your shield up for way too long. Your shield should be used as a cooldown, not like an Orisa shield. Because Orisa shields are renewable, but you need time. Yeah, basically the way that you were just flashing it is exactly how you should be playing it. But your shield needs to drop considering it's 200 HP. So if you'd had your shield there, you would not have had to walk all the way around back there. You could have just flashed it up and started walking backwards into your supports, which would then cut off the LOS of the Hog to your supports, which is good. Now, your Widow's absolutely demolishing theirs. You need to stop jumping when you're shielding, because it leaves it off of the air, or it leaves it off of the ground. Like, if you drop it like that, then it covers the ground, and no one can tickle your toes with poke damage there. Like, no, the Ana can't sleep it. You also want to be looking to eat the anti-nades whenever you see them, because that's basically just a wasted cooldown for the Ana, and it's on a same, if not longer, cooldown than your suck. There's not much you can do. People were already moving back, so you should be trying to look around a little bit more to see what your team is doing. You should be playing a little bit more on your Reinhardt, because split double shield works with Orisa. With Reinhardt, it also works, but it's just worse. It's better if you play it as a rushdown comp. You didn't need to use your rock there, honestly, because it's just a wasted cooldown. You probably could have saved it until the Genji tried to, or until the Genji got nanoed, and then you can spam him out. Now, if you see, okay. Firstly, number one, issue here. You're grasping a hog instead of shielding the hog. Issue number two, you came in here to look for the Genji that dashed, but if he came in here, he's probably here to either, one, get behind your team to kill the Widow, because their Widow isn't doing it, or their Tracer isn't doing it, or he's grabbing the health pack here. Either way, he doesn't have a dash, so does it really make sense for him to come up here and try to engage a fight with you when he doesn't have all of his cooldowns, when you have all of yours? The answer is no, because that's just a losing fight considering you're a tank, he's a DPS, and he doesn't have all of his cooldowns. So try to shield off the hog as much as possible. They've swapped over to Tracer, so you don't really need to look to cut off Widow sightlines anymore. Your main positioning for shield should be as soon as their tanks come in, you shield off the Ana, so that she can't heal the hog from here. She wouldn't have been able to shield or heal her Sigma, and then this Genji's already in butt fuck nowhere. But you want to be cutting off sightlines with your shields, because that is the way you get most value out of them, because then you block the most cooldowns, you block the most important damage, and you also stop yourself from taking unnecessary poke. Rocking is fine, but you also should have waited until he started using a breather. When he's vaping, he's the most vulnerable to get a rock, because if he AD strafes it, then he's super predictable, and you can hit him with both of your spheres and a rock. But it also completely stops him from staying in the fight longer. As soon as you stop his breather, you should also be looking to, suck that orb a little earlier. As soon as you see the orb, you should try to start sucking it, because you do not want their Moira to get a Coalescence, because that is essentially just going to negate everything your Widow does and everything your McCree does. Cole basically just stops shouting. Your Rein is feeding, so there, instead of rocking, you want to be shielding off your Reinhardt. The reason I say you should be shielding off your Reinhardt here, I believe he's already pinned in? No. So, here he comes. If you start shielding your Reinhardt, if you held this button, one, it would have cut off the sightlines from here. The Ana wouldn't have been able to see him, so she couldn't get any damage in. He could get rocked and antied, that is fine, but as long as you're stopping the damage from the Sigma, that's super pressuring him into hard shielding and then getting out of position into this room to grab the mini, because your Mercy's up here pocketing the Widow, and your Moira died, I think. No, your Moira's over here. I don't know what she's looking at. She's over here. She's not concerned with your Reinhardt, which she should be. So basically, you should be the one concerned with your Reinhardt. You gotta be moving up, taking space until, I'd say, around here-ish, putting yourself shielding right here. You can also shield yourself in the little room to still get the sightlines, but no poke damage from that little corridor there. And then you can try to flush out the Sigs into moving this way, so your Ryan has a way to get back to your team. Okay. Firstly, With that, their hog peaked a little bit. So you know that he's up here. Which means there are 3 ways that he can come out from. He can either come out from one of these 2 doors, he can come out from bottom here, or he can come out here, up top. Either way, that absolutely fucking sucks for you, because as soon as a hog is in the backline, he's going to be looking for your DPS. He's going to be looking for... Yeah. Their 3 main damage dealers are essentially making your Widow useless. Not to mention, your Moira just respawned, which means this hog is going to go spawn camp your Moira. That is a signal right there that because they have 3 people essentially out of the fight, you need to start backing up. I know it seems like an advantageous position for you, but as soon as the Genji secures the kill on the Widow, and the hog camps your Moira, and the Tracer's in your backline dealing damage to your support, to your Mercy, who's currently solo healing, you're just going to get pinced by literally everyone on the team. Because then the Sigma's going to be coming at you from the front line. You're not going to be able to deal damage to him because he has his shield. The Moira's pocketing the Sigma, and the Ana is playing in a position back here so that she can see her teammates, but you can't see her. And that is one of the better positions for Ana to play. So here, your main goal should be getting the fuck out. Nice eat. That was good reaction time. You want to look... Okay. Yes, you want to rock the Nano Blade. However, you only want to rock the Nano Blade when he's on a target or he's in midair. Because at any other point in time, fluxing him is just the better option, and it's a 1-for-2 deal. Because you use your 1 ult to counter their 2, and makes it so that they can't kill these 2 people and force you to get out of the fight immediately, which you should have been doing earlier. Now, their hog is still playing up here. Their hog has successfully neutralized everything about where your Widow and your Kree want to be. Your Widow and your Kree want to be playing here, because it's advantageous high ground. You should also be playing with your Kree most of the time, because the more you're on off angles with your Kree, the more damage he's going to get in, the more damage you're going to get in, and the faster you guys are going to charge your ults to counter this Nano Blade.
Stop the payload!
That music, it's playing again. Barrier in place.
Your shield should be going up as soon as you see those sightlines, so that their Ana doesn't get that free damage onto you from here, so she can build her Nano. She can also kill your Mercy. She can drop an anti in there, and then their Sigma and their Hog and their Tracer and their Genji are just going to go full in onto you and rape your McCree and you. So it's about shielding sightlines again. The more you look to shield off sightlines and healing, the better Sigma player you're going to be. This was good, but you let your shield break again. Another thing. Using your 2 hyperspheres and then melee is always a better combo than just waiting for your hyperspheres again. You get more DPS in it, and you're more likely to hit the melee than you are to hit the hyperspheres. So it's more consistent damage. Also, rocking a 200 HP target, then doing the primary fire melee will kill them.
Time for a graphitic flux.
This is a good position, but you also want to be shooting at them, right? Yeah, there you go. That was a good rock. That's a shame that that happened. You should have eaten that, honestly. You also, again, should have probably waited on the blade for your flux, because that's its primary use right now. If they don't have nano blade, then you wait for the nano blade. Okay, you swap over to the Zarya here. Again, you should probably be rocket jumping outside of the doors. Yeah, bubble that mercy at the prime time. Self bubble is fine, but you're just dead because of the tracer. You can't really do anything there aside from go out the other door and play with your Reinhardt. It was just unlucky that you got hooked.
Score 0-3. Switching sides. Initiating match. Ready for battle.
Okay, I went too far.
Ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Defend objective A.
So while that was the play, you kind of disregarded the rest of your team, you disregarded your own HP, and you just walked in a straight line in there. I don't know where else you could have been aside from already pushing with your Reinhardt. So you made the right decision there for your situation. You also can't rocket jump and spawn because it doesn't deal damage to you. There was really no reason for you to bubble your Reinhardt there. They weren't peeking. That was a good self-bubble. That was a bit too early. You would have wanted to wait for either A, the hook, or B, for him to pass through the Sigma's shield. Because that gives your supports time to go and cover him. You also want to turn around and bubble. You want to bubble someone earlier so they don't get hooked, right? You want to be, honestly, if your Sigma is competent enough to bounce it off of walls, you want to be playing in an area where you can't bounce it. Because the Cyberspheres are like 15 meters, I think. So you're going to be wanting to play in that mini room, right? You don't want to wait just there. That's actually really big that they tranced. That's good.
Heroes never die.
Again, you want to be using the right-click primary fire combo a bit more. It is lucky that their hog missed. If you were pulled back in there, you were screwed. That is a big thing. You're playing Orisa Zarya now, which is not optimal. That was okay. But like, okay, when a Genji is in Grav, you want to be lasering him, because he can... That was a good bubble.
Team kill.
Mate checking in.
I am still in the
almost
fight. 30 seconds remaining.
That was an okay bubble. Again, you wanted primarily be saving them for hooks, right? That was a bit early. That was an early bubble. You could have waited on that one. Okay. The reason you lost here
Victory.
honestly seems to be... I want to say it's cooldown management, but it's not just that. Your team also wasn't grouped up enough to collectively press W and focus the right targets. Fuck, I don't know what else. It's just, you know what you're supposed to do, it's just the timing that's the issue, right? Like here, you know you're supposed to bubble the flex as soon as you come down, you're not supposed to bubble immediately. But here you bubbled a little bit too early because of that torb pressure from right in here. You can live that. You can live that, and you can wait a little bit before you start it, because you want to be catching the flux damage with your bubble. Because this will only do about like a quarter-ish, maybe a little bit more. But the flux damage is so much more consistent than Torb's right-click that at that point you're supposed to be using your bubble for what's going to give you the most damage. Your team also didn't push in. You had a Mercy the entire game that was basically just pocketing this Mei and the Widow. And your Hanzo was not having a good game. And you kind of just let their Genji Nanoblade whenever you wanted. And I think that's about it.